had it since 1994, so.
4 years old. I've been positive for about 3.5 years.
The first thought I had while I was waiting to have my blood drawn was that E. E. Cummings poem, "This is the way the world ends, this is the way the world ends, this is the way the world ends, not with a bang but a whimper." Because it was a death sentence then.
I tested positive for HIV in the early spring of 1985, I think not long after the test became available.
I'm 22, and I've been HIV positive for 3 years this November.
I got AIDS in 1986.
I have been HIV positive for 14 years.
I was diagnosed on May 16th, 1990, at the age of 19.
I tested positive in a TDCJ facility of May of 1987.
When I came out of coma, I was in a nursing home for 6 months. I talked to my sister. She said, well, the sperm they found inside of me was infected. The man that raped me was infected.
The telephone woke me up. And this is in 1998 in southeastern Wisconsin. It was the nurse on the phone calling to tell me that she had the results of my HIV test and that they were positive.
Like, at the moment that he said it did come back positive, from that moment it just felt like I was dreaming. Like everything was in a daze. And that any moment somebody was going to, shake me awake.
I was tested in February of '86, and by about June or July, I already knew 20 or 30 people that had died. Within a year, there were around 100. One time, I wrote down the names of ones that I could remember.
Sylvan Blood Institute, we normally had an annual blood drive at work, and I, of course, took part in it. And the results came to my mom's house, and I called her for the results. I didn't know it was the results that she would be reading, but just kind of shrunk into this incredibly shrinking person and was holding this big phone. It was just like I was kind of lost. I didn't know what to say. And that's how I found out at work that I was HIV positive.
I was diagnosed with that. It was very emotional. A lot of things went through my mind. Scary. Yeah, scary more than anything else. But now it's angry, of course, Because what didn't happen to me when I was younger happened to me. When I was with my
and after we had intercourse, that's when I started feeling sick. And that was 3 days afterwards. And they did tell me at the RBJ clinic that it was a recent infection, like very recent. And that's how I knew. And I gave them his name. They went and contacted him, and he actually was HIV positive. And he didn't know it.
No condoms were used. And neither he nor I knew that he was HIV positive. That was my first sexual encounter.
And then I remember cutting my finger shortly after I was diagnosed, and I saw the blood, and I imagined that if I could look really, really closely at my blood, that I would see little skulls and crossbones.
I went home, and I remember picking up our new cat that we had and walking around the house saying, "Lights out for Gary."
I sat on the fire escape for hours upon end, crying and realizing that I now have the ability to take another human life out of an act of love.
There was a small period where I sort of hung the funeral bunting and got ready, got the cold cuts out, and I laid down my little calla lily and was just waiting. But
when I first was tested, the doctor told me I probably had 6 months to a year. Within about a year's time, they said, people are living as long as 2 or 3 years with this now. And you know, 5 years later, they were telling me, well, it could be 7 to 10 years. And after a while, you start to feel like meat at Walmart, where they just keep changing the date. You know?
And in 2003, that was, 2 times longer than I was told to expect, and now it's 3 times longer.
At the beginning, it was always like 7, 10, and then sometimes 8, and there were big pills.
I had met a woman in this 12-step program who was HIV positive. And I remember the night that I finally got my medicines. You know, I had all these medicines were new to me. I'd never really taken medicines before. And I'm looking at them all, and it was just, you know, and I pulled them all out into my hands, and I remember calling that woman and telling her, you know, I was kind of quiet at first. She said, "What's going on?" I said, "Oh, I'm about to take my medicine for the first time." And she just laughed, and she says, "Oh, I remember that too," you know.
Every 2 capsules around every 4 hours around the clock, literally. To get that 11, 3, 7, 11, 3, 7, 11, 3, around the clock. 3 o'clock, I would roll over, pop these capsules, swallow them, go back to sleep.
Only take, I went from 13 pills, 12 pills, and once I took 26 pills when I first was diagnosed with it every day. 26 pills. I didn't graduate from 26 pills to just 3.
I believe that every person, whether it's their first experience with sex or, if they are sexually active, needs to get tested. This group of people that's out there right now that's okay with I don't know is just such a dangerous place to be.
There's not one day that goes by that I don't think about it.
It gets better. It does get better. I mean, you got 2 different spectrums of the disease. It does get easier. It does get better. You will survive. I mean, don't give up. I mean, whatever you do, don't give up.
Somebody's saying, get back, get back. Long hair coming down her shoulders. She is tired and feeling so much older. So tear the pages from the family Bible. It came down upon the women for survival. It came down upon nothing at all. You stop me if I get it wrong. I think I'm hearing somebody saying, I'm gonna spank you till you can't sit down.
wrap it up.
Constellation of my